Hello, 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 everyone. Hope everyone is having a great afternoon. 421. Hopefully, you got off at 4 and you're on this live. And if you're not on this live, hopefully you'll watch it here soon. I am sitting here with making a little snack, a little, let's see, how do you get on that? Some pistachios without the shell, so it don't affect my it don't rip my fingers in half and rip my fingernails off when I try to break them open. Them and I got my ginger chews with me in case it's too much for me. I ate too many of those, and I got my water to wash it down. Everything's going good. I hope y'all are having a great day. I love you guys. I just wanted to jump on a few minutes and talk to you about some faith confessions. Um, I want to read a scripture to you found in Romans chapter 12, verse 2 is where I want to start off at. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Let's see here. Has anybody able to jump on yet? Okay, good. Okay, chapter 12, verse 2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. Then you will know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. This is the word of, in King James, I think it says, don't be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So we want to go with that. So I know you may be thinking I'm going to be talking a little bit about reopening. I'm not going to do that until next week. I meet again with my creative leadership team on Monday night, and we'll be coming to you next week with a little bit more details. All I need you to know right now is I'm not conformed to the world. Because they open, I'm opening, or because they're closing or not opening, that I'm not going to open. I'm going to do what God's called me to do for Kingdom Impact Wilmington. I know that I'm your shepherd and I'm responsible for your spiritualness, and I'm trying to meet that need here on Sunday mornings going live, going on a week going live. I know John's going live some with Impact students, and Grace is going live a couple times a week for Impact kids, and worship team is going to go live tonight at 7. So I feel like I'm meeting those needs for you, and we're trying to have fun on them so you can have a little socialness too. I'm trying to reach out to you guys, and but I want you to know that I want you to be safe, and I will not open the doors until I am prepared. And I've had something ordered over a month and a half ago that still hasn't come in yet. So I want to make sure it's safe, and I have everything I need to do that, and that because your spiritualness is what is concerned to me, but also your physicalness is too. Because when fatigue walks in, faith walks out. So therefore, we got to understand that we got to be careful, because I have to be careful because I don't want you to get weary in well-doing and lose faith. So I did want to talk to you today and share some things, and I'll get back with you next week about that. It's just going to be hopefully a couple more weeks, and we'll be able to get back together. But I want to make sure that we are able to be safe, and that we are prepared, and that we can get at the right time, have as many people as possible in here safely. So, but anyway, 12 and 2, don't copy the behaviors of customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Let's see, it's not showing up on my live there at all that I'm doing anything. Is it show? I don't see anything on there, any comments or anything. So hopefully it's still happening. Let me look on here real fast and see if I can see that I am live at least. It's not showing live on here. This is the first time I use my Mac. I got a Mac on my desk, so it's the first time I've used it. No, it's not even showing that I'm live at all. Yes, I'm live. Okay, yes, I am live. So good. Okay, I haven't used this because this is my desktop, and I haven't used my desktop. I always use my iPad or my iPhone, so I'm not sure with it. So thank you, Grayson, for letting me know that I'm live. I just don't see nobody's comments, and that's okay. I don't need to see them. I'll be squirreling all day long. But anyway, I want to tell you really quickly, be not conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I want to tell you, I mentioned this on Sunday, and I've been in a series, Love Like You Never Been Hurt. If you haven't seen it, you need to go back and watch the last 2 weeks. They've been powerful. And then also this coming up Sunday and the following Sunday, we can be talking about it as well. The first Sunday, we talked about love like you never been hurt. Last week, we were talking about, that was talking about loving others. And then last Sunday, we're talking about loving yourself. And so we're going to continue on this week and talk about that some more. But really quickly, in 2010, 11, or 12, something like that, Stephen Furtick wrote this book called Audacious Faith. And it was amazing. And so what he did was wrote this book, and I, in 2013, finally got around to reading it, and I made some faith confessions. And I mentioned them on Sunday, but I want to talk them just real quickly to you right now. I made my own faith confessions. He got 10 of them in his book, and I got 11 of them right here with me because I added one when I opened up Kingdom Impact. But anyway, I just want to go over and let you know these are some things that I encourage you to make up your own faith confessions. Some things that you can go back to and read that build your faith, that help you be a better person, that help you keep audacious faith and believe in God for big things in your lives. So, okay, first off, I will not be insecure because I am God's masterpiece. Ephesians 2:10 in the New Living Translation. Man, that is something big for me because I was always insecure, especially as a young minister, and I was always kind of beat down and kind of not been good enough to do well and not do, and I started having to believe in myself and I had to not only have my self-esteem that I believed in myself, but I had to go beyond that and have my God esteem. Who God says I am. Because when I look at my self-esteem, it's low and I'm insecure and I don't feel good enough. I don't feel like I can do it. I don't feel like I am who I can be. But when I look at God, my God esteem, God says that I am his masterpiece. And so I can look at him and I can say, you know what, God, I'm above and not beneath. I'm the head and I'm not the tail. I'm more than a conqueror. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. No temptation has taken me, but such is common to man. And God, you are faithful, and you will not allow anything, the temptation to be greater than I can bear without making a way of escape. And so I can believe all those things in my God esteem. And so I have to put aside my self-esteem is maybe being conformed to the world. But I need to be transformed the way I think into my God esteem, the way God thinks I am and who God says I am. He is a creator. He created me so he knows who I am and what he created me to be. So I can't be like everybody else. I can't think like everybody else. I've got to be the best Doug I can be. I'm going to be the best pastor that God has got Doug being. So I can be that and that alone. Number two, I will trust God's plan because he sees the whole picture. I mean, I may say, man, I can't see the screen because I got all these Bibles in front of me, but that's because that's what I'm focusing on. What you focus on, you fuel. Well, hopefully I'm focusing on the Word, right? But maybe I had all this stuff here in front of me, and I got my iPhone and all this stuff, and I can't really see because I'm focusing on what's right in front of me. And we get so caught up with what's happening today. We get so caught up with what's happening tomorrow. We get so caught up with what's happening next week. When God's like, will you chill? I can see the whole picture. I see everything. I see tomorrow, next week, the future. I see into the way. I see when you're in heaven with me. I see it all. But you're so focused on the now and what's right in front of you, you can't see all the wonderful things. I have hidden treasures in darkness, right? I talked about that on the worship night. Hidden treasures and secret treasures and wonderful riches and secrets that he wants to show us. But we can't see those things. We don't see the big picture. We have to step back and say, God, show me the big picture. I have to do that so often. God, show me the big picture. The next one. I will not fear the enemy because Jehovah Sabaoth will fight my battles, and greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. I don't have to fight my battles because first off, I wrestle not against flesh and blood. So first thing I got to understand in this faith, having this audacious faith is saying, you know what? It's not me against them. The enemy's trying to come between this relationship. I love them, they love me. And the enemy's twisting words, twisting my thoughts, getting in my head, trying to make me feel like there's things going on that really aren't going on. This isn't about me and them. It's about me and the enemy. And the enemy will try to come in and try to twist those things. And we got to realize, say, God, you fight my battle. Will you fight the enemy in my behalf? Just like you told little David. And little David, what's the little we used to sing in Sunday school? We used to say, what is it? About the David Graders. It's about the enemy fighting the battle. I forget the word. Maybe you'll think about it. We used to sing it in kids' church about God fighting David's battle and him not fighting it himself. But anyway, the next one, I will put God first, my family second, and then my job. God has got to be number one. God has got to be number one. If I'm going to have audacious faith, God's got to be first. I can't sit here and put my pastor job and my preaching ahead of my family and ahead of my job, because but if I gain the whole world but lose my soul, what have I won? And that's what will happen. If you don't put God first, you will lose your soul. God's got to be first, and then your family. And your family consists of your spouse first, and then your kids. Oh, but my kids are my heart. I understand. I know what you get. Mine are too. But what happens is when your kid, your heart moves out of your house and you're stuck just with your spouse, then you don't know your spouse no more. And you don't love your spouse no more because of the fact that you were so focused on loving your kids, and you broke in relationship with your spouse, and then you didn't know you don't even know who was living with you anymore. So it's got to be God first, your spouse, and then your kids. And then your job. My job's important to me, but my job is not important to me as my family. My job is important to me, but it's not as important to me as God is, first off. Okay, and the next one. I'm going to let God fight my battles. Put God first. Here's another one. I will look at others through Christ's eyes, because mine are filtered with bias. Wow. Bias. Now listen, bias isn't only racism, because I'm biased against spinach. I hate spinach. I'm biased against tomatoes. I'm biased towards Dunkin' Donut coffee. I'm biased towards bacon. I'm biased towards loving. I'm biased towards loving. I'm biased for Rocky. Right. So anyway, those are all great things. But the thing is in this world we have biases, and we have to put on what I say all the time, our God goggles. We have to take off our glasses and put our God goggles on. Well, these are my far away glasses. These are my up close glasses. So these are my God goggles. We are having trouble playing this video. What in the world's going on? I know I should have went on my iPad and not tried this yet. Hopefully they're playing the video. I will look at others through Christ's eyes, because mine are filled with bias. Am I still on, Grayson? Let's see what's happening here. What's happening? Come on, somebody. This is a black screen. All I see is that we are having trouble playing this video. Can you still see me, anybody? Please text me real fast so I can keep going if I am. Yes, sir. Okay. So I don't care if I can see myself. You can see me. That's all that matters. So the enemy really wants to come in right now, don't he? He really wants to come in when I start talking about biases, because I can't go too deep into this right now, because I'm still raw with emotion from last night when I watched that video about 11 o'clock, and I didn't go to bed till about 2, because I was so full of anxiety and so full of anger and brokenheartedness because of the George Floyd situation. And so we got to put our God goggles on. The world's not going to change until we change it. And it has to start with the church. The world out there is going to be who they are. And the church has to say, you know what? We're not going to put up with this. We're not going to stand up. We're not going to listen to those racist jokes, those dirty jokes, those things. We're going to stand up against those biases, and we're not going to allow people to be that way. I know I've done it several times in my life, and I've stood up by myself against injustice several times, and even in race instances. One on my military ship that I'll talk to you about privately sometimes. It's something that has caused me a lot of pain. And I stood up for a friend of mine against the whole entire ship. So anyway, but the thing is that we have to put our God goggles on and say, you know what, this isn't right. We have to stand up for what is right, even if we're standing alone. And it really bothers me that this stuff is still going on in 2020. We have to be better than that. We have to love our neighbor. The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. So there's a lot of people who don't love themselves. So maybe instead of trying to get everybody to quit this racism thing, we need to start getting people to start loving themselves more, so then they can love their neighbor more, which will stop the racism, right? But that's a whole nother scenario, a whole nother. I can stay here for days and days because it really bothers me, and that's why I have to keep this right here. Say, I have to look at others through God's lens. I even have to look at those people who are racist through God's lens, through my God goggles, because what will happen is I have to look through that and say, you know what? They have a soul. God loves them. God cares for them. When it comes to terrorism, and we see, Osama bin Laden, and then we have to look through our God goggles and say they have a soul. God died for them. And we have to realize that as well. So another thing is my next one. Like I said, I'll just stay here all day long if not, and I don't want to do that right now. So it says, I will reach the hurt, pain, guilt, and shame by showing them the grace, mercy, and love of Jesus. Man, there's so many people out there that are full of hurt, pain, guilt, and shame. They're so full of it, of the past. They've been abused. They've been hurt. They've been backstabbed. They've been raped. They have been two-timed. They have been cheated on. They have been lied to. They have been punched and hurt, and they have all this stuff, and they're looking for someone to show them grace and say, listen here, I understand who you are, and I know you've been through all this stuff, but you can't stay in the past. You can be a victim or you can be a victor, and I'm not going to allow you to stay in your past. I want to pull you into the present, and I want to show you God's grace and God's love, and I want you to know that God never wastes pain, and that same pain that you're going through can be your victory. It can be your testimony. That pain that you've been through in the past can become your joy. It can become something that you can use to help others get out of that same pain situation. Maybe it's not pain, maybe it's shame. And we can let people know that the shame that you've been through, the shame that you have felt, because maybe, like I said Sunday, maybe you're the one that caused that pain in other people. You caused pain in somebody's life that you cared for. And we need to be able to show grace to them and say, look here, you can turn it around, and you by God's grace, you can be forgiven, and you can go forward, and you can make reconciliation in relationships. And people are full of hurt and pain and guilt and shame, and we need to be the ones that stand up and show grace, love, and mercy. We have to do that. Rather than being all pious and I'm above that and you're beneath me and all this junk. We don't never need to look at anybody that's less than and that I'm holy and you're not. We need to look at everybody through the lens of God's grace and his forgiveness. When he died on that cross, he had that blood pouring down his face. I think I said this at Easter. He had the blood pouring down his face. And whenever, he looked at everybody out there that was doing this bad stuff to him, that anybody would have said, hey, sick him, Jesus, But what he did was he looked through that blood, and that blood purifies and that blood forgives. And when he looked at those people through that blood, that forgiveness, he was able to look out there and say, hey, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And when we can look through the lens of God, and we can look through a different lens, and we can look through our faith and put our God goggles on, we can look at everybody differently. Now, we're going to have our bad times, or sometimes we're going to take our glasses off, our God goggles, and look at things the way we shouldn't. But we're going to have to keep putting them back on. We need to remind one another, you need to change your lens. You need to change your focus, because what you focus on, you fuel. The next one, I will only be what God has called me to be and not what others want or expect me to be. Man, that should be so freeing to you. Today, you don't have to be what other people want you to be. I have all kind of people, pastors, preachers, teachers, members, neighbors, friends, everybody looking at me saying, hey, here's what you should do. Here's when you should start. I'm not going to be what they want me to be. I'm going to be what God's called me to be. I'm the pastor. I'm not a youth pastor anymore. I am now a pastor, and I have to do what God's called me to be, and I have to be me. And Pastor Doug is someone who is fun, who is lighthearted, who is loving and caring and joyful and happy. And I'm going to be me. I'm not going to sit up on the stage and try to be Joel Osteen. I'm not going to try to sit up there and be Stephen Furtick or I'll learn from them. And if I can learn anything from them or someone else, that's fine. But I've got to be me, because I'm only going to reach people through the way God's created me to be. And you need to be you. You don't need to try to be what everybody wants you to be. You need to be what you're supposed to be. And not what other people expect you to be. You can only be you. That's all you can do. So anyway, Again, I could just sit here and preach messages on. Maybe one day I'll do that. I'll just do a faith confession series and preach 10 and messages on this. But anyway, here's the next one. I will not be moved by the voices of the enemy, because I will only listen to the voice of my Father in heaven. The enemy speaks in my head. One of the biggest problems that I have with the enemy is in my mind. But an idle mind is a devil's playground. And I got to keep focused. I got to keep not conforming to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of my mind. I got to constantly renew my mind over and over and over. And I got to constantly do that and allow the God to help me pull out things of trash and dirt and filth that the enemy's trying to put there, and negativity and all this negative stuff, and pour in God's love and pour in the word of the word, and pour in love and forgiveness and mercy and grace, and not judgment and condemnation. And those things we got to do that, and we got to not listen to the voices of the enemy. Well, how do I know the voice of God and voices? Well, God's going to lead and the devil's going to push. And you need to know that. And you got to know that the enemy is going to do his very best to try to push you into things, to make quick decisions and rash decisions. But God's going to lead you and pull you and direct you, and hopefully you follow his guidance, and then you will come to a place where you can understand God's voice better and be in his will. The next one, I will not let my past hurts dictate my future, but I will use my past hurts to propel me into my destiny by learning from them and not dwelling on them. Man, I sometimes get to the place, I hope y'all can see me because I still can't see myself. I get to the place sometimes, I get to the place sometimes where I dwell on things. And things bother me, and I focus on them. And that's why I say that so much, because I'm not just trying to preach to you and tell you all the time what you focus on, you feel. I'm saying it for myself. Because sometimes I focus on my past hurts and my past pains. And yes, we don't need to let other people focus on that stuff, and we need to help and encourage them. But sometimes we need to help ourselves realize that. And say, you know what? Yeah, that happened in the past. The enemy won that round. He won that fight, that battle, but he's not going to win the war. And that should push us and propel us into a future of greatness, a future of awesomeness, of audacious faith, and saying, you know what, man, that you done messed with me, and you done ticked me off. You done woken up my inner giant, and now it's on, Satan. And we're going to go on, and we're going to triumph, and I'm going to destroy you. And that's what I plan on doing to the enemy. I plan on destroying Satan. I plan on winning and loving and caring about people till the day I die. And I hope at my funeral, I hope people get saved. I hope even in my death that people will still come to Christ because of maybe how something I've said to them, or how I treated them, or how I loved them, or how something I spoke to them. Okay, 2 more and I'm done. I will have audacious faith to believe for the impossible. Listen, I believe for the impossible. I pray for the impossible. When someone comes up and says, Pastor Doug, I've got cancer, and the doctor says I'm going to die, when I pray for them, I have no doubt God's going to heal them. Now, if God doesn't heal them, that's up to him. But in my mind, God's about to heal you right here in this church, in this altar. And it's happened many times. And then many times it hasn't. But that's not going to stop me. Just because God does or doesn't, it's not going to stop my audacious faith from believing that God's going to do what he said he would do in his mighty word. We have to trust God. By my stripes you are healed. Then when I pray for you, I'm believing that you're healed. And then you need to walk in that healing, and God's going to heal you through instantaneously through the doctors, or maybe it might even be through death, because he's saving you from something much, much worse. But whatever it is, I'm going to believe for the impossible. I'm believing that God's using this situation right now, that people are going to get saved. And I know when we come back, I know Kingdom Impact is going to be stronger than ever. I know that we're going to be so much stronger than we were. I know I'm already stronger. I already feel more powerful. The devil has done ticked me off, and I'm ready to go to war. I'm ready to fight the enemy. And I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to quit on you just because you're going through a hard time, just because you've made some bad decisions, and you've done some bad things and made bad mistakes, and you feel like God doesn't love you. I'm not going to give up on you because I believe in you. I'm getting a little, whoo, praise God. I'm gonna go to the next one, my last one, because if not, I'll be on here. And I got a meeting at 5 o'clock, and it's gonna take me 15 minutes to get home, and I got 15 minutes left, so I gotta go quick. The last one is because I have when I planted this church, our motto, our goal, our thought process, our mission and vision is to inspire. What I said in my faith statement is, I will inspire love, life, and relationships. That's my goal. The worst thing about this whole entire thing is relationships, and I'm doing what I can to reach out, to talk, to share, to love, and build relationships without seeing, without touching, without hugging, and that drives me crazy. Well, here's what you're going to find. Because you're not touching and you're not hugging, and you're not loving the way you used to, you're having to find a new way to show love. And that's through, as my social coach says, your thoughtful comments. And you're finding a new way to reach out and show somebody you care. And I promise you, when you get to hug that person, it's going to mean so much more to you, because absence makes a heart grow fonder. And whenever I was in the military, when I went on my 6-month cruise, I went on a bunch of cruises, but one of them I wasn't in a relationship, and there's just one girl that I wasn't even really interested in at all. She was just a friend, but she sent me letters every single week. And when I got back, you want to know who the first person I looked for was? Was that girl. Because she cared for me and she showed she loved for me. I didn't want to hear, well, hey, hey, I'm sorry you're gone. I was going to write you, but I didn't. I didn't care to see those people. I wanted to see the people who did write me, who showed me they cared by their actions, not just their lingo. That's why it bothers me whenever I see people and I'm just like, whenever I'm planning to call somebody or I'm planning a message, then I see them, it makes me so mad at myself, because now I have to say, I was going to call you today, or I was going to text you, but you text me first. And I hate that. I did it to Ricky Meeks the other day, man, a wonderful friend of mine, a great man. And he called me, and I had been thinking about calling him for a couple of days, and I didn't call him, and he called me first. And I had to say, Ricky, man, I was going to call you. And I'm sure he thought, yeah, right, but you didn't. And he called me. So we need to be the first ones to call. So when we get back together, when we hug each other, when we're in one mind and one accord, man, we can inspire love, life, and relationships, so we can find a new way to love, so we don't need that hug to show that we love somebody, because we already know. We don't need that handshake and that high five, and the dab to show that we love. We can say, hey, man, I know you love me because you showed me love. And hopefully you're feeling love today, because I can't even see myself. All I see is a black screen that says, I can't show you this video at this time. So I hope you're still there, or I've been talking to myself and preaching myself for the last 15 minutes to a black screen. And I'm sorry, this is the first time I've used this Mac on my desk, my computer on my desk. I always use my others, but I wanted to try it out. I've been wanting to try it for a long time, and so I wanted to see what it was like, and I'm kind of disconcerted right now about it. But anyway, I'll probably go live from my phone from now on. I don't know, but we'll get this working so I can see myself. But anyway, I love you guys. I hope this has blessed you. I hope this has ministered to you. Go back and watch the last 2 weeks. Love like you've never been hurt. Share it. And if you have a problem loving yourself, especially go watch this past week. And join in this coming up Sunday as well. Join in tonight around 8 o'clock. I know that we're going to share live about the worship team's going to sing a song. They sing a song every Thursday night. Just a little pick me up. So hopefully with this little pick me up and the pick me up that you're going to have from the worship team tonight, you're going to be blessed. And don't forget to love. Man, I tell you what, I cannot wait till we get back together. We're just going to take this city by storm. God's got some great and amazing things for Kingdom Impact. And if you go to another church, God's got some great and amazing things for your church. I'm praying for every church in our city. And I'm praying that they fill up, and I'm praying that God uses them and blesses them. I'm praying for the pastors. Man, we're all on the same team. I ain't against nobody. If you have 1,000 saved, praise God, I'm going to jump up and down with the angels. And if you had, one more visitor than you did last week, I'm going to jump with you. And if you're a smaller church and you didn't have hardly nobody show up and you had a bad day, I'm I'm going to get on my knees and pray with you because I care for you and I love you. I pray that you pray for me. I love you guys so much. I have got 10 minutes to get somewhere where it's going to take me 15 minutes to get there to my meeting. But I'll be back tonight. We will be live. I love you so much, and I'm so sorry for me not knowing and it going black on me and confusion. But I want to blame it on the devil. It's probably just technology. But either way, I win. God bless you. I love you so much. Have a wonderful day.